What's up, YouTube? I want to do a quick video today on rescreening a screen. It's pretty simple. If you've never done this before, this is a video for you, good one for you to start somewhere. It's not very difficult, so I figured I'd teach you and the young feller here at the same time. Looks like there's little plastic clips that are on this screen. We gotta remember they're on this side. And there's not really going to be a whole lot of tools that you're going to need. I got some needle nose to start this little metal or rubber piece you get down in here. You need something to pry with to get down in there. Once you get it pulled up, and remember where you started. We're started obviously in this corner. We're going to get the other end pulling out too. Now don't pull on the screen just yet. You can pull this out. Don't rip it. If you do, it's not that big of a deal. I'll show you here. Now I could easily come from this way too, now whatever. Now this is a handy little handle, but it can be a pain to reinstall sometimes in that area. Now I'm going to leave this oriented around the same way and get the old screen out. Put our handle here. We'll probably forget. Out with the old. Now for the new, there's a bunch of different options that are out there. There's this dog-proof pet kind of really tough material. I mean, I struggle ripping it even. So this is pretty tough stuff. And even in the back in the day, I don't even know if they make it anymore, but you had some metal screen. There's a lot of different options, but today we just have Clear Advantage. No sponsor, nothing, just doing a video. Now, if you were smarter than me, you'd measure, but I'm just gonna do one of these. I can get 2 screens out of it this way, right? Makes sense? So I'm not gonna cut my material this way, right? So if you're tracking, because this is more than halfway, right? So we're gonna cut it. I'm not even gonna measure. I'm just gonna go yay long. Turn it around here. Okay, so leave it plenty long. Don't go too short. It's better to have it too much, right? So I'm gonna leave it an inch or two too long. And you don't need to mark nothing. Don't make it too complicated. Get you some scissors and just follow this, right? Follow your roll, and that'll give you a nice straight cut. And if you got sharp enough scissors, all right, so now we need to go and cut this baby in half pretty much. But I'm not going to do that yet. I'm just going to get the material that I need first. So let's get this back. I think we had this here. Drop my plastic piece. Now you're going to need this. You don't really need this tool, but you kind of do. I got a couple different options here. You got a metal and wood one, then your cheapo plastic. So now you're going to have a smooth edge on one end, and then you're going to have kind of a notch in the middle of it. That gives you a couple different ways of running it in. So we'll get to that in a second. I don't know which one I'll use yet. We'll see. So let's get the material over here. Obviously, it's not going to work this way, right? So we're going to keep a little bit on the edge, and then the same on the top corner. So that way we'll only really have to trim the majority on 2 sides here. So I'm going to start in this corner. And you can use a screwdriver. That's why I have one here. Okay, so we're getting it started. And then you can use the lines of the material, right? You kind of need to go down basically the lines, because if you get it like that, it'll look goofy with it all crooked. So you kind of want to keep the same all the way down. So now I got it basically started. We're going to roll this in. You probably want to start from this corner. I'm going to use the curved one so it helps stay on there. Now zoom in a little closer so you can see that a little better. Actually, switch sides with me. Let's get this bottom edge started now. I want to go a little bit farther though. So I got this arched edge. Just going to push it down. Now if you push down too hard, it'll start curling up like that, and you'll get it way longer than it was supposed to be. And that's not always such a problem, but just be aware you might stretch it longer and have to trim off the end after you redo it. Okay, so there's one. Now hold this other edge like so. Make sure it's as straight as you can. Okay, now this corner is a little short. I can stretch it just a touch. Okay, and keep that in there so it stays put. Same thing, arched one. Get it on top. Now this, I don't want to stretch it. So I'm going to have to be careful in pushing it. So I don't want to roll it like I was, or you'll just push it out. We're just trying to push it down. Like cutting a pizza. All right, we're already halfway there. Look at that. Now, that plastic thing, before we forget. Okay. So what that does is that helps you lift out the screen. If you go to take the screen out, which I'm going to at some point, most likely, maybe. But it's going to make it harder. It'll probably leave wrinkles. It sometimes doesn't want to sit very well. Hold on a second. All right, sorry about that. Now, got to stretch this out. And I'm still thinking I'm going to put in this plastic piece here. Now, it's got a little notch in it. You want to take that notch and have that down. So we're just going to insert that about center. That's not very center. Yeah, about center. So now we're a little short, so we're going to have to stretch it a little bit. Oh, I got a wrinkle here, so I got to pull that out better. Not too shabby. And we'll roll this in. Ha, see, that's why I got two. I got that on the other side. So again, more trying to push it down as in rolling it. But once you get the hang of it, it's a pretty quick process. So I'm going to use the screwdriver in the corners. It just makes it a little easier. And again, you could just use a screwdriver. So I got the arched one again. Just going to push it back down. See how it's coming up? Just push it straight down. Now, be careful not to cut this edge on the screen. I've like literally put a perfect cut. So be very careful when you're pushing down, because it will cut that inside edge. Trust me, if you haven't done it and you do enough screens, you will. And I might myself here. I better watch what I say. Okay, last corner. So again, it looks no waves or anything really. This is just trying to hold it in place for the moment. Okay, so that's gotten that bottom half kind of. Now we can stretch it out more on this end. So now knowing that, we can go ahead and roll this one out. Because if it takes it out, then good. Now this corner is starting to come out. I need to use that screwdriver. So it's really not that hard of a job. It just takes time. Okay, so now take your roller one more time and do the arch side so you don't cut that edge. So now we got the rounded edge, I should say, not the arched edge. And then that little bit we stretched out too far, obviously it needed to be here, but it's not a big deal. Still going to keep all the bugs out. So again, now all I'm doing is just making sure it's seated. Now, there's a lot of different ways to skin in this hog. So you can try to go ahead and go around and stab the tip of that in there. Or you can get you a razor blade, probably hopefully sharper than this one. So I just like to put it along the edge, trying to get it to where you can see. And hold that back. It's a little difficult around those latches there. Obviously be careful not to cut your screen. Now don't ruin this material on this side because we need as much as we can for the next window. And we might as well just go straight across on the end of it there. Straight-ish. Oh! Okay, last edge. So again, you can just cut that little last bit and take a little screwdriver this time. Push that right down in there. And you can trim it off better later too if you want. You know, you don't have to get it perfect the first time. You know, right now I could flip this around and just get these last little pieces that I don't like. And that's it, folks. Oh, I got a little bit there. Almost. Oh, it's almost it. But again, this is just demonstration to show you how quick and easy you can really make it look. And again, you could trim it up a little bit better than some of these edges. We almost forgot. I think these just kind of help it stay in there. We're going to put these in as well. Now we can go reinstall it in the window. All right. I actually want to give a couple more tips. As we've done more of them, I've noticed that this metal, obviously the metal is really going to cut more than the plastic. So far we've been using this plastic one more. It seems to be better. So if I had a choice, that would go. It says China on it anyway. So anyway, so we got the plastic one, but I wanted to use a couple more, show you a couple more tips. So coming back to this corner, young fella ran into a problem where the corner didn't meet up. Well, if you still, let's say, pushed in the corner there, you can make it go. However, if there's an inch missing, let's say, so let me show you down here on the other end here. So let's say it went in here and there was that much missing, but you cut that much off earlier, you can actually just put that little piece in there if you really wanted. So it's no big worry. Oh, great example right here. See that? Look at that. So if you were worried about that last little bit, you could put it in there. But again, you could just stretch it, right? And that's what I want to, one more tip on doing these is if you were to start from here and start pushing it, you'll start to cause a wave, and you don't want to do that. So what I recommend is you pull it tight, get your end where you want it to go. Okay, pull this in tight, and then just get it all started. Especially this very last edge. This very last edge is critical, because if you don't, you'll get a wrinkle like it looks right there because of that cardboard. And again, the arched side, it's a little better when it's sitting up on top here. But don't roll it and push it forward. You want to be pushing down, if anything. So we'll push these high spots down. And that's what you really want to do, is just get those high spots down. And again, I'm not rolling it until the end, like right now. I'm going to push this last little bit down. Kind of fighting me to go in this spot, but it's going. Now see, if I keep rolling, it's going to come up there. So I'll just push it down. Okay, now this little bit got to go in before I can really roll the rest. But I recommend to push down, obviously, not roll forward is the key tip. So again, now that it's sitting down in there, we can use the rounded edge. And you're not cutting a pizza, so you don't need to go back and forth so much unless you really want to work it in at the end. But be very careful not to cut that inside edge. And then again, I had him do another one here so we can have one extra to finish this last window. And one more tip I really wanted to show was just cutting this edge. It's very easy to just tear it and mess it all up, so I don't want people to get frustrated, because he was starting to cut it and struggling more than I did. I made it look a lot easier, but the technique is almost a sawing technique, and you need to have it tension on it as you're cutting. So you need to pull. So I didn't describe this very well, I don't believe. You need to hold up on the loose material and keep your blade flat as you can. Obviously, you have obstacles sometimes, but keep it flat as you can. But once you get it slicing, it's not too bad. Now this end, you don't need to worry so much. But again, getting it started is the roughest part. So you want to grab the loose edge, and be careful cutting towards yourself, obviously. It'll be better if I switched hands here. And it's helpful when you have an extra set of hands. But see, I'm trying to slice it to get it started. You know, you don't just push forward. You can't just push forward. You need to slide sideways to get it started, and then you can push forward. Okay, so slide and forward. And try to keep it. I try to keep that inside blade as far away from the screen that I want to save. Now I don't want to get too crazy here, because we need to save this next piece. Okay, so we'll cut that. But this is the really tricky part, is to just the cutting of the. But again, if you have someone, have them obviously hold down the frame. If the cameraman can even hold down the frame with one hand, maybe. Thank you, sir. It definitely helps. But again, to get it going, slice it. And this last edge. Now that one I didn't hold as close, and you can see what you're left with. That's why it's imperative to really keep your blade as flat as you can. And you can use scissors, you can try all the other ways, but I'm telling you, you do it this way, you'll be a lot happier that you did. So again, we can just clean up this last little bit, and that's it. You still here? Right on. Well, you're hanging out for the pro tip. If you really want to get fancy and you want this to look clean and beautiful, you're going to have to zoom right in, and I'm going to show you a pro tip. But not everybody might feel comfortable doing this. This is why I wasn't going to show this at first. But if you get an edge, you're trying to trim it now. You're done. You don't want it all straggly. See all this edge? How it's real long right around where I had to go around. So now I'm going to get this started and cut this back. The rubber piece we pushed in there, right? If you get this up and then you follow that black edge of the rubber down inside of the groove, you will have no little pieces showing at all. But not everybody's going to be comfortable doing this, so that's kind of why I almost didn't film doing this. But that's how you can really trim it in easily as well. Shazam! So yeah, if you need to clean it up, that's a good way to really clean it up. Looks like we got one more edge here. Whoop! There we go. We got one more to do, but you guys have pretty much seen all the tricks of the trade. There's really not a whole lot to it, but man, no wrinkles. Nice and firm. Yeah, you can bounce it like a trampoline. That's how you know you got it nice and tight right there. All right, thanks for watching.